Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Innovators Radio. I am your host, Ralph Brogdon, and joining me today is AmondaRose Igoe. She is your Speaking Success Strategist. AmondaRose is an award-winning speaking expert and best-selling author who has taught thousands of leaders, entrepreneurs, business professionals step-by-step speaking systems so they can effectively share their message and enjoy massive results. She is the author of Pain-Free Public Speaking and Share Your Story, and she is a contributing author in the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. AmondaRose is the creator of the Invincible Speaker System to amplify your impact and income. AmondaRose, thanks so much for being on the show today.
I am absolutely thrilled. Thank you so much for having me here, Ralph.
Now, you are a speaking success strategist, and you work with leaders, entrepreneurs, business professionals, people that are listening right now. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and who you help. Who are your ideal prospects?
Who do I help? They are a type of person that is very passionate and committed to sharing their message. Now, it could be a corporate message. They might be a leader in an organization. They could even have started their own organization. They could be a small business owner, entrepreneur, coach, or consultant. The key criteria that I look for are individuals that are very passionate about making a difference in this world and also are open to monetizing that difference that they make. So they come from a place of wanting to serve more, but they also come from a place that they're open to increasing the revenue in their business. So it allows for them to be heart-centered, want to speak authentically and from a place of service, but also they understand that it is business. Without the monetary, the financial side, they're really not going to serve as many people as they would like to. So those would be the type of people that I typically attract and the ones that I love to work with.
Excellent. And so it's all about leveraging your message, but also being able to actually make a living with this thing, right?
Yeah. How many people I'm sure you do. I meet so many people that have this passion for their work, but they're not monetizing it. And it really looks more like a hobby than actual, they're not having the impact that they want. I love this. There's a statement. It goes something like this. The more money that you make, the more people that you'll help. And the more people that you help, the more money you will make. And that is the absolute truth because those two things have to be equal.
Very good. Now, how did you get started down this road of speaking? I was looking at your website, and I believe you said that you didn't have any experience when you started out. So tell us how you got started in this and what you had to go through to get to where you are now.
Well, over 17 years ago, it's a long time. Time does fly. As I shared with you, I was a social worker. And at the time, I had wanted a little change from social work, and I took a job with a nonprofit organization. They didn't tell me that I would literally have to stand in front of hundreds of people and present. I had no speaking experience whatsoever. It was my worst nightmare. I mean, in grammar school, I had an entire class laugh at me. It was just fun. It was the worst I could imagine happening.
That can't be really good when you've got a grammar school class that's actually laughing at you as you're giving a presentation. That had to be hard.
It was really hard, and you're going to kick out of it. I was doing a Southern accent. It was that bad. And so here it is. They don't tell me. I take the job, and now I've got to present. And there's not anybody teaching me how to do this in this organization. There's no one that says, here's how we present. There's no format whatsoever. It's like sink or swim. And I could either choose to quit the job, sink, or go and just kind of wing it. But I figured, you know what? I'm in this situation for a reason. I'm going to make the best of it. And through the process, I was in that job for 5 years. I really had discovered that I had unique talents and gifts when it came to actually presenting, that I was really great at it. But I also loved creating interesting, fun, creative content So I would take something that was really super boring, like charitable annuities, and come up with games for the audience. And they were having fun. And the board members are like, you need to teach everybody in the organization how to do this. So in my mind, there was this calling waking inside of me to not only be a speaker, but also to teach speaking. But at the time when I took that job, I had no idea or desire to even be a business owner. So here I am. Okay, now I'm going to take this business venture idea and I'm going to be a business owner and I'm going to be a speaker trainer. But I have to tell you, that was 12 years ago that I walked away from my job and I've never looked back because I get to do what I love to do every single day. And I get to see the difference that my clients are out there in the world, what they're doing, the results that they're getting, the lives that they're changing. So that keeps me going every single day.
That is really inspiring and motivating, especially for people who are not comfortable in this area. And it always comes up whenever I talk with speakers, professional speakers, that the fear of public speaking is greater than the fear of death. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? It's
the unknown. If you think about in the education system, even in high school, they're not, unless you do like a debate class, you're not taught anything when it comes to actually speaking. So when you're put in that situation, whether it's in your career that you now have to be a team leader and you have to present to groups, or even have to give a eulogy, that people don't know what they're doing. So all the angst comes from the fear of the unknown. So when you teach people, when I teach people and others do it in my industry, teach people the things that they need to do, people become naturally more comfortable. They know what they're doing makes sense rather than kind of winging it. And yes, in the beginning, some normal feelings of, your heart might race a little bit. And there are strategies that people can do, such as deep breathing and affirmations and NLP and EFT and all those other things that they can do to help bring that down. But the one thing that will bring it down the quickest is to keep doing it over and over again, to put yourself in those situations where you have to start speaking, not saying no to opportunities when they present, because the fear only becomes powerful when you give it power. So if you say to that, someone says to that fear, all right, I'm going to conquer you, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make it happen, that fear becomes powerless.
Very good. So basically you overcome the fear just by doing more of the thing that you're afraid of. I think that's really excellent advice. Is that what you did? Walk us through how you went from totally not knowing anything and being very intimidated to now you're actually helping thousands of leaders, entrepreneurs, business people to be able to effectively share their message. What did you do to go from not knowing anything to basically being the speaker goddess that you are?
I went and I really committed, and with my own financial dime, and said, I'm going to learn. So I started attending groups and workshops on speaking so that I could learn the art of it. Because there's an art to the body language and using your tone of your voice and the delivery aspects of it. So that's where I started, was in the foundational things. Now, I do have to be clear. The foundational things are appropriate for foundational type presentations. But if people are looking to really to grow their business or to, really inspire thousands of people, then there's a whole nother level. But when I first started, it was all about the basics so that I could get comfortable. Now, I will share with you that even after I started my own business and I would be doing workshops, before my presentation started, I would be down the hallway, deep breathing, doing affirmations, all that, I just had all this feelings coming up, and it really helped me to kind of get into the space and do what I needed to do. But it took me a while before that. I didn't need to do those things anymore.
So do you recommend that people just starting out, that they actually rehearse and go through their whole delivery in advance? Or what do you recommend? Is that even a viable strategy?
Well, there's two types of situations when you present. The first one is the formal presentation. I'll get to that in 1 second because I think that this other part would be really helpful. So we've all been put in those situations, or at least most of us, where we've had to present and we've had like 5 minutes to prepare.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, here, can you talk about this? And so I'll give everybody a 3-step process that will really help you with that. And then we'll talk about somebody who has to do a longer presentation and what they want to be careful of and what things do they need to do. So the impromptu presentation, flying by the seat of your pants, often can fit into this presentation formula. So if you're asked at a team meeting to talk about the steps that the organization is taking, or even if you're at a wedding and you have to present, you can use this formula. It's called past, present, and future. So the first thing you're going to talk about is the past. So let's just use a couple, for example, that you're at somebody's wedding and you have to give a toast. So you talk about how they were before the past, before they met. Then you talk about how they are in the present. What it's like for them right now and how much they love each other. And then you talk about the future. What would you wish for them in the future? So it's past, present, future. So for example, if you also maybe have to share the direction of a company. So if you could talk about the company in the past, what maybe things that were challenging for the company, where they are right now, what directions are they taking? And in the future, where would you like that? What direction is the company going in the future, and how will that benefit everybody? So past, present, future is a great way for those impromptu. So let's talk about the person that now has to do a talk. So before you ever practice and rehearse, you have to create your content. So you want to obviously come up with an opening, a middle, and a closing. So think about what would you say in the opening of your presentation to get their attention? What's the middle content that you want to teach? And what's the call to action? What action steps that you want to take? Now, that's a very, very basic formula. So once you have your opening, your middle, and your closing, you want to look for certain things that could be challenging in your talk. And one of them is what I call the big D, which is the data dump. Ralph, have you ever been in a presentation where they data dumped?
Oh, yes.
So they give you way too much information. Right. Your head is spinning, right? You're buzzing. And so go through your content of your talk and ask yourself, do they need to know this? Do they need to know this? Because the reality is they don't need to know everything that you, the leader or the speaker, is thinking you need to share with them. They don't. Everything's not valuable to them, and it's not going to benefit them at the moment. So go through there and clean out the excess of your talk. Another thing that I think is super important in creating a talk is sharing something a little bit personal. Now, we're not talking about the boyfriend left me or the wife's a pain in the ass. Oops, sorry. The wife's a pain in the whatever it is, or the cat. I don't care. We're talking about where you particularly had a challenge and then how you turned it around. So I'll use myself for example, is I shared with everybody that's listening how that speaking was a huge challenge for me and how I've been able to turn it around. And so if you can think of some way that you could either share a personal, professional, anything related to that specific topic that you're sharing and show how you had a challenge and then turned it around, an adversity and turned it into an advantage, or how you learned something from doing what you're asking them to do, they'll now emotionally connect. Because I think emotional connection is key because that builds the know, like, and trust.
Yes.
So then once you've got your talk figured out, then you do want to practice. You want to practice it so that you can really just have a couple of bullet points in front of you and know exactly where you're going. So I'll share a technique that I did when I first started speaking. It was I would write out my talk and I write it out word for word, what I think I'm going to say. And then as I would practice it, I would read it and practice it. I would take off words. So I would cross out words and then I would, when I get down to less and less words, I would reprint the document. So basically what I'm doing is only using certain words to jog my memory. So I take off excess words and only have a couple words left. So that way I could refer to my notes quickly and easily if I do forget where I'm going. I call them the brain fart moments, which can happen to any of us. We all can have brain farts, right? And you want to have some notes, but bullet points, just a couple of words to keep you on track. So if you practice it that way and pull off the excess, that would be a huge help in knowing your content and being comfortable with just having a few words.
That's really good practical advice. I love practical advice and frameworks. And you've got a great framework there. A couple things you said really resonated with me, the past, present, future framework. And, you see that a lot in political speeches, especially the State of the Union. They'll talk about the great history of our nation and all the things that we've overcome. And today we face challenges of our education system and our military and so forth and so on. And then you want to end on a positive note of the future, that there's hope and we're going to work together to get where we want to be as a nation. And so there's kind of that past, present, future template that you're talking about. And that's really universal for whatever it is we have to present. Maybe we will not be presenting the State of the Union, but maybe the state of the business or something on a more local level. The other thing I like, go ahead.
And it's easy to remember.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. So if you have to do a short talk and you only have 5 minutes or 0 minutes to prepare, it's easy for your mind to go and create exactly what you need to say. And it will sound clear and concise instead of just kind of rambling on and wondering, did I make any sense?
Yeah. That really makes a whole lot of sense. The other thing I liked about what you shared is the personal story and making the emotional connection with the audience so that they can know, like, and trust you. And again, to go back to the political example, you see politicians doing this all the time, and it's really fun to watch how they try to do it really nonchalantly, but it's kind of obvious, but no one really realizes it's obvious because it's so effective. So they don't just get up in front of a group of people and start talking about what they want to do. They get up there and they say something like, on my way to your fabulous town, I ran into, I don't know, Mrs. Montague or whatever. And there she is back there in the back. Say hi, wave everybody. There she is. And she was telling me, well, Senator, what are we going to do about all the jobs that are leaving town? And I'm glad you asked that, Mrs. Montague, because this is what I have in mind. So he kind of connects to someone in the audience to create this cheering and this emotional fabric, and then kind of builds from there instead of just launching into his agenda.
Yep. It's a great example.
Yeah. So I that's really cool, the things that you're sharing here. So tell me more about what it's like to work with you as a speaking success strategist, because not only have you got all of these great strategies and tactics for delivering the message, but also for monetizing that message and creating the massive results. What is it like working with you, and how would working with someone like you really improve someone's chances for success as opposed to trying to figure all this stuff out by themselves?
That's a great question. When people come to me or contact me and they want to find out a little bit what it's like to work with me, obviously I'm looking at the person as an individual. And I think that that's super important, is because every person is different based on what their needs are. So I focus on 3 different types of clients. One, if they are saying that I need help writing my presentation, it's one of my strongest attributes, is I think we're all given gifts and talents, and co-creating content with my clients is one of the things that I love the most. And I think that really benefits them. So I take all the data that's in their head and we craft their talk together. So it allows them to express their unique point of view and in the ways that they would, but it's all structured perfectly from opening to closing.
I love
then
it. Yeah.
there are people that are, as a business owner or entrepreneur, and they want to get out in front of more people. So they may come to me and say, I need help, AmondaRose, getting in front of audiences. I don't even know how to start doing that. So it's not that they're going to catapult themselves into the world as a professional speaker, because they really have to start getting out there. And so I teach them strategies and help them fine-tune their message so that it's clear about what they're talking about, what value they bring as a speaker to the audiences and to the groups. And then there's another aspect of it is also the delivery. I think that it's one of the most forgotten areas of speaking, because you can have this beautiful message, but if your message doesn't come across clearly in your body language, your tonality, and in the way that you move, it misses. It doesn't land. So over the years, I've done lots of boot camps and powerful people, amazing people. And then they get in front of the room and they're swaying back and forth, right?
Or waving their arms like a windmill, right?
Right. Or their arms are stuck down by their side like glue, where they try to hide behind a podium. So also those aspects are important. It's probably the one that people ask me to focus on the least, but I think it's just as important as the other aspects.
Yeah. Well, I can tell from the way you are looking at everything that you are a strategist like me. You've got the top-down view of kind of the whole tableau that's in front of you of everything, the message, the content, delivery, tonality, the body language. So you really help people figure out how to pull all of that together and really effectively share their message in a way that that not only influences people and impacts them, but also creates massive results and success in however they measure the success, whether it's more prospects, just getting a wider circle of influence, or being seen as a subject matter expert.
It's interesting because one of the things that people often forget about is the closing of their talk. So they'll even create what they consider a great talk. I might have a different opinion about it, but they'll consider it a great talk. And I'll say, okay, what's your closing?
And that's all I got to say about that.
Yep. I didn't have a closing, AmondaRose. I hear that all the time because it's the scariest thing for people. Now, most of us can pull together a kind of inspirational closing, but when we're asking people to take out their credit cards or make a decision or to move forward to the next step in working with a business owner or an entrepreneurial effort, that's the hardest part for people, I think. And along with sharing their personal stories, I think that's the two of the most challenging areas for people.
Yeah. Now you sound highly motivated. You're obviously passionate about what you're doing. But I'm curious if you are motivated every single day of the week and every single time you stand up to speak, you're just ready to go. Or are there times when you need some extra motivation to get through that next speaking gig? And if so, what do you do to really kind of motivate and get you going in those moments?
So that's a great question, because most people look at me and think that I never have a crappy presentation. That's not the reality. We are all human beings, and some days, it's rare for me, but some days I'm not 100%. And it's when I forget to do the things that I like to do. So I love Audible. So an Audible has where you have books, the audio version of books. So when I'm driving to yoga or driving to a presentation, I like to put in the positive things that inspire me, the things that make me feel good and alive. And so those crappy presentations were before Audible. So if I had Audible, I would have never had those, because I would have shifted my mindset. And that's where where we're not 100% on our game is when our mindset is off. It could be that our body is physically tired, and sometimes, I don't care, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I think that for some people, not even enough coffee is going to fix that.
Yeah.
But I think that you can also if you can shift your mindset and focus on the dialogue that that's going on, shifting that negative dialogue into a positive, But I think the most important thing is think about the audience. Think about how you're here to serve them, how your presentation, your talk, your information is going to make a difference in their life. Because then it becomes about them and not about us. And if you're thinking about them, how could you allow yourself to not bring your A game?
Yeah, so it sounds like you're saying that the more self-centered we are, where it's all about me and how I look and feel, the less we're able to serve. So if we show up with the attitude of providing service and value to other people, that kind of transcends whatever doubts and fears we might be experiencing in the moment.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And that, I think, and we were talking about fear before, that was a big factor for me, and also my willingness to, one, start speaking, two, start a business around speaking, was my desire to make a difference in other people's lives. So when we're thinking about us, it's all about us. But when we're thinking about people and how much they need this information, how it could change their life, it really changes our energy around it. So it may not be that it's 100% your A game, but maybe it's now, because you started focusing on the audience and taking the focus off of yourself, maybe it's now 85% of your A game. It's better than 50% or 0% of your A game.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think also in my experience, when I have walked away from an event thinking, well, I really wasn't all that great, but I tried to focus on the audience, giving them value, and really being authentic, even if I didn't pull it off with expert precision, but just being authentic and genuinely showing up to serve and to give value. I think people will probably rate us higher than what we would rate ourselves if we show up with that authenticity and with that spirit of wanting to improve their lives. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree with you on that, because I think authenticity as a speaker is something that it's not regarded as much as it should be. Because authenticity for me is to be very present and real with the audience about who you are, not trying to be the perfect speaker, because no one's perfect, not trying to be something that you may not, but being yourself. And I found that I'll use myself as an example. When I would go out and do a 45-minute talk somewhere, it'd be great. The results would be awesome. And then people would attend an online training with me or a boot camp, and they'd go, AmondaRose, I even love you more in this environment because I allowed myself to be myself. And so what I've done over the last year or more is really taken that authentic approach and brought it to everything that I do. Yeah. Because I would be worried in the past about being perfect. And that's obviously not something that any of us can ever achieve. And so why not just be ourselves, but bring our best self as a speaker, but allow our unique, authentic heart to come through. And people really resonate with authenticity big time.
Yeah, great distinction there between perfection and being 100% who you are, the best you that you can be, as opposed to being perfect or being an imitation of somebody else. That's really, I think, key to this whole idea of really being a successful speaker. AmondaRose, you have been a best-selling author. You've contributed to the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. You've got a lot of great products and services, but I'm curious, are you working on something right now that's got you really excited?
Oh, I am so excited. One of my things for me this year, and actually I was talking about it all last year too, it's finally all coming together, is to take a lot of the things that I've taught privately or in higher end live boot camps and things like that, and brought those to online programs. And one of the things that I've been wanting to do for a long time is to share. I have a presentation template. It's called Create Your Signature Presentation That Sells. And it walks the individuals through the opening all the way to the closing. And I typically work with my private clients using that format to create their signature talk. and a talk that they can use over and over again, and a template that they can use for any future presentations that they do. And I wanted to bring it online and have this be an opportunity for people that couldn't work with me privately to be able to have access to it. Mm-hmm. And to be able to also walk them through the process, not just have it be, okay, here's the template, you're on your own, so figure it out, I'll tell you the baby steps, but really to provide coaching and opportunities for Q&A. So I took what I used to do for live boot camps with my clients, and I created Big Impact and Income Speaker Online Boot Camp. So that is an 8-week training program where people go through the entire process of crafting their talk, as well as all the little speaker nuances that they need to know. And then the other thing is I'm also talking about how to move people from that consult conversation into a paid client, because many people will go out and present and they'll offer strategy sessions or breakthrough sessions or discovery sessions to their audience. They could do that and they might do great at it, but then they can't close them. Mm. And so I wanted something that would be from, even if you didn't have a product or program to sell, you'd be able to create your talk and create the income around it from speaking. So that's my Big Impact and Income Speaker Boot Camp, online boot camp. Woo!
That is awesome. Well, that flows right in with what you've been talking about. It's not just sharing the message; it's also monetizing the message so that you can continue to share the message and continue to do what you do best by adding value to other people's lives. But you've got to get value back in order to keep giving that value. So that's really exciting. Now, for someone listening who wants to find out more about that program, any of the other programs that you offer, how is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Okay, so for the Big Impact and Speaker Online Bootcamp, if they go to bigimpactandincome.com, bigimpactandincome.com. For any other things that they would like to learn about, whether they want to talk to me privately and see if we might be a fit for each other, or any of my other programs, if they go to invinciblespeaker.com, that's invinciblespeaker.com.
Very good. Very good. Invinciblespeaker.com and bigimpactandincome.com. So everybody go check that out right now. This has been so inspiring and motivating, and I've got all kinds of notes from what you've shared that I'm going to put into practice starting on my very next presentation. But AmondaRose, do you have any other final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us as we close out?
Ralph, I do. One of the things that has really helped me be successful in my business and in my life is I've been willing to take the next steps. And I didn't always know where those next steps would lead me, and I didn't have to have all the answers. So if an opportunity or an idea came to me, I would take the next step, and whatever that meant. And then I would take another step and another step. And the beauty of it is that as you take the next steps, ideas, direction will come to you. And if your next step isn't the right direction, you'll be guided in another direction. You'll be guided, like if you take a next step and you take another one and it's a little off course, you'll be guided to go in the right direction. But the challenge is many people don't take the next steps. They don't know how to get there. They're trying to do it perfectly. Just take the next step. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to know everything that's going to happen after taking the next step. Just take it and see where it leads you. Because that's exactly what I've done every single day in my business to create the success that I've wanted and desired most.
Mm. Words of wisdom from AmondaRose Igoe, your speaking success strategist, an award-winning speaking expert, and best-selling author. AmondaRose, thanks so much for being on Business Innovators Radio today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful opportunity, and I love sharing everything.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.